Tonight, scenes of triumph across Syria as rebel forces celebrate their stunning victory over the Assad regime. More than 50 years of dictatorship by one family ended in a 2-week lightning advance by rebel fighters. Tonight, those fighters shooting open the doors of regime prisons, freeing political prisoners, including women and children, while the marble halls of a tyrant's palace echo with the cries of ordinary people. But Syria's ousted president Bashar al-Assad evading capture, fleeing to Moscow with his family, according to Russian state media. The uprising against him began peacefully in 2011 with calls for democracy, dignity, and reform, but mutated into a pitiless civil war after Assad turned his guns on his own people. For years, that bloody strategy seemed to work. But with his Russian backers bogged down in Ukraine and allies Iran and Hezbollah weakened fighting Israel, the rebel attack revealed a brittle regime that quickly collapsed. The rebels' main leader speaking tonight from a historic mosque in the capital, promising a government for all Syrians, regardless of sect. Some minority groups, though, frightened at how the Islamist fighters will govern. They were once part of al-Qaeda and still considered a terrorist group by the U.S. But for much of Syria, hope.
Now I can understand that my children will not be raised under oppression.
Abdul Kafi Alhamdo and his family survived years of regime bombardment. This was the moment he saw his father for the first time in 2 decades, reunited after the front lines collapsed.
We're free, Syria! We're free people!
So much emotion there tonight. Raf joins us now. And Raf, what happens in Syria has a hugely significant impact on the rest of the region, including where you are in Israel.
That's right, Allie. Israel now saying it has deployed troops inside of Syria in a bid to prevent the conflict there spilling over into Israeli-controlled territory. Allie.
Raf Sanchez, thank you. Nearly 1,000 U.S. troops are based in Syria, with the country a haven for terror groups that target Americans. Now, late today, the U.S. military says it struck 75 terror targets across Syria. Allie Raffa has the latest from the White House.
At long last, the Assad regime has fallen.
Tonight, President Biden reacting to the fall of the Assad regime and quick military action in Syria.
Just today, U.S. forces conducted a dozen of precision strikes.
Those strikes hitting more than 75 ISIS targets, including camps, leaders, and operatives. The White House hoping to prevent a resurgence by the terror group in the region.
We're clear-eyed about the fact that ISIS will try to take advantage of any vacuum. We will not let that happen.
The president committing to protecting the roughly 900 U.S. troops he says will remain in the country, while offering a blueprint of future U.S. support.
I'll send senior officials from my administration to the region as well to establish a transition away from the Assad regime.
Despite this, the president expressing cautious optimism after the rebel takeover of Syria.
It's a moment of historic opportunity.
While making clear the country's future is still uncertain, acknowledging the connection between the rebels and terrorist groups.
Make no mistake, some of the rebel groups that took down Assad have their own grim record of terrorism and human rights abuses.
Mr. Biden also committing to securing the release of Austin Tice, an American journalist and Marine veteran kidnapped in Syria more than a decade ago.
We believe he's alive. We think we can get him back. We have to identify where he is.
Tice's family, who had criticized the Biden administration for not doing more, hopeful tonight the fall of the Assad regime creates an opportunity to bring Austin home.
We are hopefully and prayerfully and joyfully waiting to get the news that Austin is walking free today.
Allie Raffa is joining us now from outside the White House. Allie, what do we know about how the incoming Trump administration may handle Syria?
Well, President-elect Trump agrees with President Biden, opposing any more U.S. military involvement in Syria. Allie?
Thanks for watching. Stay updated about breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or follow us on social media.